My ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
All right. Welcome to the Star Wars Sorority Meeting. The meeting has now come to order. Yay! Give your hands a clap. Woohoo! We have a bunch of people on the show. I'm not by myself. I'm so happy. And we have Miss Cassidy Clayton. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a high school student who has an insane obsession with Star Wars and other geeky things. Like to read, like to comment, really enjoy Swag 77 and the acting involved. There's not much else to tell.
All right, and we have a very special guest. I'm so glad she decided to join us, and that is Miss Trisha Barr. Tell us about who you are. Oh, I'm so excited.
Trisha Barr. I am the founder of fangirlblog.com, and I founded a website just for to encourage female fans of Star Wars to have a voice in discussing Star Wars and the fandom, and so that's what I do.
Yeah, and she has a favorite character. I know who the favorite character. Who's your favorite character?
On
in all of Star Wars.
All of Star Wars, that's Jaina Solo, but
yay! Woo! And so today's topic just came out of a box. I'm like, how could these fangirls do this? I don't get it. And so I was like, astonished. And so that's when I came up with this idea that maybe we should talk about it and help each other understand the perspective. I can't say that right now. Perspectives. And so this topic, I labeled it Smexy Clones. Woohoo! The clones of Star Wars as men. Woohoo! So we're going to talk about the clones and, do they have personalities? Who are they? What are they about? It's so, let's start round table, clones. Are they truly all the same that you think they are? And how can you keep them straight in your mind? I mean, what's the difference between them, really? Anyone can answer that.
Well, I'll start. I've actually had quite a few sets of friends that are identical twins. So at least in the knowing people that have the same genetic code, if you know the twins, it's usually very easy to tell them apart. So just because someone is the same genetically doesn't mean they're going to have the same circumstances or even come out as the same person. Obviously, in the Clone Wars, they all have different, tattoos or different markings on their uniforms. And even if you listen to D. Bradley Baker, he gives them a different voice even, which is really fascinating when he tells you, he'll go through the transitions for how they speak. So I see them all as, even though they look the same, they come off, even in their voices and their looks, as very different and unique individuals.
Mm-hmm. Anything else?
I agree with Ms. Barr. Like she said, they have these different physical markings, but they also have, like she said, their own personalities and stuff. And that's how I keep them straight. Because they do look extremely similar, but oftentimes, even by hearing a sound bite of like one of the clones, something they've said, I can tell who it is. Like,
yeah.
Really cool.
Keep going.
I know one of my favorites is Rex, and the reason is because he has this dedication, this code of honor, as most of them do, but he takes it almost to the next level. He's serious and disciplined, and generally a really cool guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like for me, I used to actually have cloned things in my previous life. And it's interesting how this all came about. I mean, I've never cloned like any animal, but I've cloned DNA. And so we know from that point of view, the scientific point of view, that not all the DNA is the same for every single time. You might have genes that you pick that you want to keep all the time, called selection, but you don't from one to the other. Sometimes you just get, some animal that does something unexpected, and you have to work around that. So, Miss Cassidy, you said your favorite character is Captain Rex. Do you have another one?
Well, I sort of let my friend like this one, but I also like the character Hardcase,
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a little bit off, a little bit out there, a little bit hyperactive, headstrong, ready to jump in to anything, guns blazing. Just in general, I love all of them, and I love their arcs. I love it when they focus on the clones, and I detest the characters that belittle them or treat them like they're droids or things like that.
Mm-hmm. And Miss Trisha, you have a favorite one yourself?
I do. Commander Cody is my favorite, and actually, my nephews have named my parents' cat Commander Cody, so we even have him in the family now. I like Rex for a lot of the same reasons that Cassidy said about his honor, and I've liked the idea that the clones are have an honor and a code way back since the Republic Commando books. So I've enjoyed watching them get a personality in the fiction and then in the Clone Wars. But I don't know why Commander Cody was a favorite. I guess because he was with Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's my second favorite Star Wars character. So I just sort of liked that, you could see Obi-Wan and see them having a friendship. And then when you get to, obviously, Revenge of the Sith, it sort of makes it all more impactful and how that ends up for them. But
yeah, he moved on. Obi-Wan kind of like, it was shocking, but then he moved pretty quickly through that and said, my clones turned against me, but I'm not going to freak out like everybody else.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good at that. But certainly one of my favorite arcs ever was the Umbaran arc.
Yes.
And I couldn't believe how they took so many clones and just gave them all a story, and at the end I was crying.
Yeah.
It was, they were all, it showed that they were heroes too, and I thought they did I was really excited for that arc, and that's probably one of the reasons I'm sad is that we are not going to see as much. I would have liked to see where Rex went, but I can sort of imagine it in my head too.
Yeah, that's an irony, because we're kind of working on that story as a role play or a performance, and it's kind of like, well, did he order 66 at all? We call it Order 6060, but going back to the question, who is my favorite clone if I ever had one? I'm not into the clones of the Clone Wars, which even though this is what this topic is about, I like the Galen Merrick clones. Go figure. From The Force Unleashed. I like the dark-sided one in particular. So that's where my cloning appreciation goes. As far as the clones of the Clone Wars, I guess I like Echo. I like his armor. I like his his connection that he has with all his men. And when he died, we're just like, oh man, seriously.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. And are they the unsung heroes of the Clone Wars? Anyone can answer that.
Well, I would say they're getting a little more praise, a little more notice now, thanks to the arts and whatnot that have focused on them and on their stories. But for a while, I think they were, because everyone focuses on the Jedi, and I love the Jedi. I'm completely a light side girl. But the clones are special. They give us, the normal viewers, someone to look up to almost, because they're these normal people. Well, not exactly normal, but they don't have any of the special powers the Jedi do. They're just men who have trained and are keeping up with these essentially superpowered beings. And it's really awesome.
Yeah. They're kind of like the Batmans of Star Wars.
Yes.
Which is interesting to me because it's like, wow, when I read the Revenge of the Sith novel before seeing the film, I think I read from the clones. A few of the clones were like, wow, that's amazing how they can do that. And then, Revenge of the Sith had, the Order 66, and it was like, how did they triumph over that?
Yeah.
And let's see. Where are we? Here's the one that really is true Star Wars sorority. It's like, when I read about the clones and all the things they can do and all the things they really know, it's like, do they know some things about life more than they let on to? Like relationships and how to have them, and how to appeal to the ladies. What do you think?
I don't think that was part of the mix, because they obviously were, raised faster. They grew up faster than most people. But I think it's just they're very highly intelligent, and they have relationships among themselves as far as friendships and brotherhood. And I think they're sort of a natural extension. I just think it's sort of, it's human nature to want to form connections with people. So, it wasn't something that was initially that, when they were Kaminoans developed them, really had any mind for them to do. But it's sort of something that nature is going to fight on its own, is that they're going to create relationships and be, even attracted to other people. I just think that's kind of human nature. Yeah. And that's what's sort of neat about the clones, is they were bred and brought around to really be not matter and not be anything. And as you find them create meaning in their lives by, the brotherhoods or, even friendships, I think that's what makes them a powerful character, that you can overcome, some life where you're not supposed to or meant to have any meaning. You can actually find that in your own life.
I agree. And we see that with the episode The Deserter in season 2 with Cutler Quain, how he left the Grand Army of the Republic and chose his own way. He made his own decision and decided to have a family. So even if that was some biological mix-up that the Kaminoans missed, it still shows that it's possible. So maybe they do. Maybe they, when they're not focused on training and defending the Republic and fighting clankers, maybe they do think about that, about maybe what it'd be like.
And, that brings up an interesting topic, because it's like, they're kind of like, are they Mandalorian? I mean, their parentage, on the father's side, most definitely, is Mandalorian, Jango Fett. So they're modified heavily from that, but, still that might be, and the Mandalorian is a warrior culture, no matter how pacifistic Satine Kryze tried to make it. but they're still a warrior culture. But when there's no war, what do? They go back to their lives and live them, and create their world and do what they do. So I don't know. That sounds interesting, though.
But weren't they? They were trained by Mandalorians.
Yeah.
So some of that is just cultural, but even for Satine, I think that the neat marker for her was that she, even though she was a pacifist, she did it out of a place of strength, which is what I think they're trying to show about the Mandalorians in general, is that when they decide to, whatever their code of honor is, wherever they've lined that up, which may not be the same for everybody, they're very firm to it. I mean, it's actually, she's a hard character because people don't understand her not doing anything, but actually choosing to not do something, to say, I want peace to the point that I will even let you fight me and beat me down, but I won't fight you back. Sometimes, even in history, those people have to exist. And so I think the clones sort of, I mean, they were obviously trained by Mandalorians, but that kind of code of honor might sort of also be just ingrained in their, the way they're genetically hardwired.
DNA, yeah. Yeah, it is. And that's what's so intriguing to me about them, because, of course, coming from that background, professional background, is like, how much of this is hardwired? How much of this is culturally related? How much of this is experiential? Because, without the experience, you really can't make your own decisions. And you have to have that as a sentient being. And how much of this is, just like, I'm going to choose. And I think the deserter is like, I'm choosing this life for me. And Cut LaQuaine. And so, there's more to these clones than we actually get. If you just read the books, or even if you only see the movies, you wouldn't see all of this about the clones. If you see the Clone Wars, you get a good flavoring of them, but you also have to read the books. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to get to the Republic Commando series, which I probably need to. Bad Dr. G. Bad girl. So those are things that we can see. What else could we do? Yeah, we didn't get to the answer of why are they so appealing to the ladies. Why do ladies like them so much? I don't know. For a newbie like me, it's like, they all look alike.
I think they all have a different personality, but I've always liked men in uniforms, so I'm biased that way. I grew up in a military family, so I was an Army brat, and I just saw men in uniform. Again, it comes out in the way they act, but they definitely have a code of honor, and I think that's very appealing to, at least to me, to people that have an honor system. Are the type of people I choose as friends, even. So,
Yeah, I agree with Miss Barr again.
Yeah, it's like they have armor. Not just uniforms. They've got armor with helmets. And, you see all of that. You're like, well, which armor is nicer than the other? I mean, for a newbie, they're all the same. Just different colors.
I agree completely with that. I also like the fact that they're soldiers and that they're men in uniform. And like Miss Barr said, the honor code. It's great to see positive role models, even though they struggle with some of their decisions. They follow their code, and we don't have a lot of that on today's television and media.
Yeah. And that's even a truer statement. Now we have someone new to our group. Yay! And it was Tori. Hey, Tori, give her a hand. Yay.
Hi, Tori.
Hi,
Tori.
can you hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Cassie is a friend of mine, and she told me about this podcast actually. But I saw y'all were talking about clones, and I thought I'd show you all my clone accent. I'm still working on it, but y'all want to hear it?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes.
Let me think of something. Clankers, we got you surrounded. Rex, hard case, sir, Obi-Wan, sir. I don't know. I'm trying to think of lines to say with it, but yeah, that's my accent. But hard case is my favorite, actually.
Really?
Yes.
And why? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The same thing. Why?
I don't know. He's just like when I saw him in the Barron episodes. I don't know. He just stood out from the other ones. He's just really cute to me. Like how he's like the special one because his tank cracked.
Love that line.
Cute. He's cute. How can you tell they're cute? I'm playing the devil's advocate. Okay, I'm playing the newbie to clones. So how can you tell they're cute?
They're cute for cartoon characters. I thought the animation was interesting. It took me a while to get used to it. That was one reason why I had skepticism about watching the show. But they did good, and I thought that just the clones and all their different personalities. I've been listening in on it. Have been they're just cute and their different personalities and stuff.
And Tori brings up another reason why I like them. The accent just is golden.
Yeah, that was really good for you.
It's very nice. I like it.
That's very good, Miss Tori. Their accent, you know, what is so incredible about D. Bradley Baker when he voices them? I mean, oh my, he switches.
He's an amazing vocalist, like with his voice and different things he can do with it, you know.
like Cassidy said, he does switch around, and it's like it's that slight. You all said it. It's that slight modification. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can you tell? As a newbie,
like Hardcase will often be more of a I think he's slightly higher in pitch sometimes because
he's kind of jittery,
excited about everything. Yeah, like Troy said, he's jittery, and so he'll say things really quickly. And then Rex is more steady and like sometimes a little skeptical, but not always. And sort of just the point where he's like, all right, I'm used to everything now because Anakin is so crazy and has asked me to do so many ridiculous things. There's nothing.
I don't even care anymore. Let it go.
just do it, gosh. Yeah.
Have you guys seen any of the videos that D. Bradley has done on StarWars.com where he actually goes through the different voices?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, if you go to the Clone Wars and look at video and just search his name, I think he did one right after the Umbaran arc ended. Yeah. But if you look on their videos, they're really great. I mean, I've seen him at Star Wars weekends, I think 3 times now, and he's the funniest person live. He's just crazy fun. But yeah,
and he does a lot of character work, voice work, and so
yeah.
Not just
Korra.
Star Wars. Yeah,
he's in Korra too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so for him to take that one character voice, so to speak, and then shift the character voice, it's like, wow, that's kind of hard to do. I could never imagine that.
Yeah,
but I think it's great.
Yeah, and he's completely great because he's nice in person too. But like at Star Wars Celebration 6, there was this panel that all the actors did, and all the voice actors, and he went through some of his different voices, and he was trying to tell the audience how he got the creature sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, like Appa and Momo from Avatar: Last Airbender.
It was ridiculous, and yet one of the funniest things ever because he does it from like the back of his throat.
Mm-hmm.
and when people tried to imitate him, it was no one else can do what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. That it will be interesting to see how that can all work out. But you keep practicing. So we're gonna switch on over to the meat of this story that everyone wants to know. Does Captain Rex love Ahsoka Tano?
Depends on what you mean by love. If you mean like
For your age, it means he loves her. Ha-da-da.
Right.
For my age, it means he loves.
Yeah.
So I guess your parents wouldn't like that, but
No, they know. I think he loves her in the filios way, like the brotherly love, the sibling and friend love. Because you see through the video, he definitely cares for her.
Yeah.
He respects her as a fellow soldier and as a person, and she feels the same way about him. But I wouldn't say it ever goes any farther than that.
You would never. Go ahead.
I agree. Cassidy's right. I think that this was a great show just to show people being male and female characters being, love each other or respect each other as individuals, and that's one of the reasons I like their two characters, because they had like a friendship and a respect for each other, and it really was much like the way Anakin felt for Ahsoka. He sort of watched her grow up, so like a big brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're not going to go to the Ahsoka Anakin show yet, but we can talk about, the relationship that, of course, the clones worked with females, assuming they all, had a slight attraction, to them. They're not all Twi'leks, but, just had an affinity like, some people have with the opposite sex. And so none of that has that ever been transversed. And then you hear the story of Darman, and I can't say her last name. Tane. Yeah, is that how you say her name?
I think so. That's how I say it.
Okay. And you're like, what happened? What?
Did you read those books?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's interesting just because they meet each other again as soldiers, but they end up getting kind of thrust in situations where they were with each other and fighting side by side, and that's sort of how a lot of relationships happen. And there was obviously a mutual attraction. I won't spoil anything, but it didn't end so great for them. But, it was very believable if you read the story that as it went along, they grew from kind of friends to, there was more than that.
Yeah. Well, that part was believable, how they grew to more than that.
Yeah, I actually think that I've read a lot of Karen Travis's other books too, and she does a good job of having things progress naturally for people, to become friends or deeper relationships. And so yeah, I enjoyed those stories. I think it's and we see occasionally in the Clone Wars, we see clones outside the normal clone life, being a soldier, where they've had families. And then in the EU, again, the clones, not from the Clone Wars, but the clones from the Sunterfell clones, as they called them, all wanted to just stay and be farmers and be with their families. But, so there's kind of that natural, it seems to be over the course of Star Wars, that sort of keeps reoccurring. There's clones and they end up wanting to be like everybody else, which is have a family.
Yeah, so that shows a little bit about determination, like you know, I wanted determine or autonomy to make my own decisions for my life, even though I'm a clone. Because you got to imagine, you know, you're a fully fledged clone and you're have that flash training where you're supposed to do, you know, basically kill. And that's what you do. You're a soldier and that's the only mindset you have. And you're not supposed to really have a life outside of that. But then reality is, well, in a story is that, you know, you will have, in order to live, you have to have something that means something to your life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, that's like, you know, drawing on that, you know, maybe in the future we'll all have clones. I don't know if I would want a clone of myself because I'm.
No, that would be scary.
That would be creepy.
There's a reason science fiction is science fiction. It doesn't need to be fact.
Spot on.
So I guess you know, they're the I don't know how to explain this because everyone's a fangirl here. And so I'm gonna be the devil's advocate. Don't smash me. But what are with these fangirls? What are with these fangirls of the clones? I mean, some are like, I love you! Oh, Captain Rex, I love you! I'm gonna take off all my clothes! And you're like, ah!
I think you have those people in everything, and I wouldn't say I associate with them, nor do I associate myself as one of them. Because you've got that with, you know, say Naruto or One Piece or other mangas or animes. You'll have those crazy people.
There are crazy people. I like animes, but there are some crazy.
I mean, it's like, dude, they're not real. They're like cartoon characters, really? And, well, go ahead.
I see a lot more what you know, Cassidy's saying, where people are just respect them for that they're a character or not. So I don't see enough of the you know fangirls that are crazy and love with them as just characters. But I don't know. I think that is normal in fandom for some fans to react that way. But I see a lot of fangirls act just like fanboys, and that they really just are attracted to the character in a way that they like them. They just have an affinity for them, not in the sexual sort of way.
Really? You haven't been on our page.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, with social media, you always get the crazies. And, of course, there are two types of crazies. There's the good crazy and the creepy crazy. And sometimes the line's a bit blurred, but the creepy crazies have a lot more outlet in social media than in real life, because there are rules and laws in real life that say you say something like that and you're going to get in big trouble. Mm-hmm. And when they're on social media, they sort of forget, or they use it as something as a way to be weird crazy. Mm-hmm. But that's not always the case. I think they're attracted like flies or like moths to a candle by the pages and stuff. But they represent a small portion. You hear about them because they're noisy.
Yeah. I think from my experience, you know, friends of mine who've played really top characters, not the clones of the Clone Wars, but very top characters, they've gotten craziness in their inbox. Like, I take off all my clothes naked, 16 years old, and you're like, what? And then you just get that, I wouldn't call them fangirls necessarily. They may be fangirls, maybe not. They may be fanboys, maybe not. But I think you'd call them groupies, because that would really be what they're doing. And I'm shocked. I'm like, but these people they're not real, you know, and I don't understand. For me, that you got to remember where I'm coming from. Like, I have someone at home and I love them very much.
Yeah.
or you have a boyfriend or whatever, you know, you care about them very much. But it's not, I don't know, the social media that we do, it's just like, oh wow. Wow, really? Wow. And so I just wonder. I wonder about some people.
Yeah.
So then we go to making it worse, and that is, are they formidable to the ladies? Like, very, you know, can they do the repartee? Do they even get that? You know, if you were to meet them at a bar, what would they say? Would they buy you a drink?
Some of them probably would. I mean, you can see in some of the I think it was,
I could see Heavy doing that.
yeah.
Say that, repeat that.
I could see Heavy doing that.
Buying a drink? Would you like a drink? Hello? Or be Lando Calrissian. What do we have here?
I think some of them are probably more inclined to that than others. Like you see them joking around in the episode arc where they go to Camino. I think that's with that's when we get reintroduced to Echo and Fives, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that some of them do have more of that Lando Calrissian air, where if they were in a situation like that, they would probably flourish quite well. But
you know what is interesting? Like, you know, I mean, I guess it's being around certain people, being around a certain group of people every now and then. You're around the guys, and you're like, did you see that hot babe over there? She was hot. And then they'll switch to like, did you see that new car? You know, you know.
Yeah, testosterone.
And then there's swagger. Wait, that's what it is. Do the clones have swag?
Well, I think that's a learned, like, to learn how to, I don't know, flirt or relate with people that way. Something that you pick up from media and from older friends who, you know, older people as you watch them as you're growing up. So it would probably depend on who they associated with and what, you know, where they were. That's why the clones are all interesting, because they all literally have had different life experiences. So probably dependent on, you know, what Jedi they fought with, and if they were mixing with the locals and maybe learning behavior. I mean, people who fight hard, you typically party hard. But you know, so it just depends. I think on the clones. It's an interesting discussion, because when you guys are talking about it, as far as what you've seen in feedback, I've just never seen that, but I'm not in that sort of role playing community, so I'm not familiar enough with it. Maybe because it's a blurring of lines between real and fiction, that people, I mean, sometimes actors say that, you know, people throw themselves at the actors just because they're in love with the character too. But obviously, I mean, if that's sometimes the experience, you could learn from how actors tend to learn to separate themselves from the characters to create that sort of definition, so people don't go there. It's an interesting thing. I'm just listening to it, and for the first time,
I'm shocked.
Well, I've had those experiences as a fanfic writer, where people might like your stories and want to engage you at a different level. But I think you have, as a female fan, you have to know how to establish walls and boundaries, and girls aren't always good at just saying, this is my boundary, and just establishing that and putting up their, you know, where their boundaries are as a person, in addition to being, you know, me being a fanfic writer or you being role players. I'm just throwing it out there because it's interesting. So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think Cassidy herself has seen it, and I have had to deal with it a lot. But talking to other cosplayers and and some of them are actors, they have said that they just say, no, don't do that. I don't like it, and go away.
Well,
In a nice way. They say it nicely.
well, now they
Well,
have the cosplay equals consent thing going on, where they're starting to cosplayers are starting to realize it's okay to say just because I put the costume on doesn't mean you can treat me a certain way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
well, I've cosplayed myself as a popular character, but I mean, that was fun because I had like 30 people walk up to me and ask to take pictures with me, but it's sort of like, it's just people basically having fun because, and I know several other cosplayers, I've only cosplayed like twice,
Mhm.
that it's just more like, it's something fun to do. It's kind of a hobby, at least for
Yeah.
most of the people I know. It's a hobby thing. It's something in common, and it's just because you enjoy the character. That's why I cosplayed as that particular one. But yeah, I think it's fun to do, but it's like, I'm pretty different than the actual character.
Yeah, and I think what geeks them out on social media is that you see them there, that your favorite character, but doing it is just totally different from, seeing your favorite character. You see your favorite character, you're like, oh, and have these expectations. But when you actually have to play these characters, and you want to, if you want to do a good job, if you don't care about your job at all, then okay, whatever. But we're talking about people who want to stay true and honor the lore and you have to read, and you have to write, and you have to talk to a lot of people. And that's what I'm trying to help people do, with us, is to get into that mold of, like when you said, Trisha, that you should go to the StarWars.com site and watch D. Bradley Baker and how he switches the voice. That translates in performance.
yes.
So you'll know how to translate that in performance just by watching that. That should be a part of it. And I mean, and a lot of people don't do that when they role play at all. But that's life. But the real question is if we're in a fake world, and how Lando can the clones be? I guess Heavy would win.
Probably.
so how do these clones even know what to say if a girl, some hot Twi'lek comes up on them and say, "Hey, baby," would they know what to say?
Instinct.
Does that actually work? I mean, that's certainly not how I would, somebody would be appealing to me. I think just being a person and having a conversation, the pickup lines have never actually worked in real life for me. So
Yeah.
it's been a while. I'm just going out there, even in, Empire Strikes Back, Leia sort of was like, all right, whatever, Orlando, obviously Han and Leia had witty banter, but I just being a person, I think, and having interaction with somebody, I don't even think they need to learn the pickup lines or whatever. I don't know.
Do the clones have cat calls?
Probably. At
Like,
least some of them.
hey. No, I don't know. I mean, they seem like they're rare. The clones are like really respectable. They would not be disrespectful.
Well, they follow. I mean, they have a chain of command. They have as we said earlier, everybody's, it seemed to be that everybody liked them because they had a code of honor, and I think they would extend that to other people. That's always how I've seen them come off in stories. They're respectful of the chain of command and then other people as they go along.
They seem to be good boyfriend material.
Wait,
Boy, is that
boyfriend
one.
material? Your own clone.
Well,
You
boy,
have
I'm
to
in love.
direct a lot with them. You got to tell them where to go. Oh, I went there. Sorry, kids.
The thing is that they probably technically be a lot younger than you, because saying that they grow
Yeah.
fast to be kind of
Like
awkward.
the clones that look like they're 26 or 13.
Yep.
That's almost really awkward. Yeah.
That was the thing. I mean, do they have a childlike mind?
I don't think so. Like you don't see that in the Clone Wars. I mean, they're acting like fully mature adults. They just have really because in their training and in their the speeding up of the genetic processes that the Kaminoans did, they not only physically matured them twice as fast as normal, they also made them mentally mature twice as fast.
I'm just going to add in my older adult perspective on this. I think they actually in some ways were to just follow orders and do things is very teenager like, and like when you hit 20 you think you're rebellious, and then when you hit 26 you realize that you know some of the things that you were rebellious weren't the right things, but you start making up your own mind in life, and as you're 30 more so. And I think that the clones really were starting, they weren't 13 mature age in a lot of things because they were smart and fought. But I thought a lot of the evolution was sort of them stepping out of being that kind of teenage mindset where you just do what the older adults tell you, to actually questioning and having life experiences that would allow them to say no. Or even in Umbar, when they decided, well, it's worth it for me to sacrifice my own life. That's a very adult thing. So yes, I think they were all, and then for the ones to let go of their brothers, to let them die, so the others could be saved. That's an adult thing to do also, because so yes, I think we were seeing them in the Clone Wars transition from being teenagers to adults.
Well, just like their experiences would also mature them too. I mean, since they are technically 13, experiences can make someone younger. I mean, there are people that, had to grow up young, so it's kind of like they grow up from experience too.
Yeah, that's kind of sad if you think about it. But I agree with both Miss Barr and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
It is sad. They're very tragic characters in a way, but that's one of the reasons I think people have an affinity for them is we see them kind of rise above it in brief glimpses. That's why I liked the clones.
Yeah. So boyfriend material. I'm stuck on that.
I think that's because of what we talked about before with the their honor and their nobility, their sense of sacrifice, and just their general awesomeness.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Anyone can answer this one. Is that in a story sometimes, or in real life, some guys fight for the woman they love. And do you think they would have done that if they fell in love?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would they know, that, would they know to do that, though? That's what I'm wondering. You're talking to Newbie, who is a scientist who used to do this stuff. I mean, could they have removed that from their genetics not to do that? They have to fight for only the cause, whatever.
Obviously it didn't work because some of them broke out of that.
Yeah.
I think that people fight, when they form relationships, they end up extending kind of their brotherhood or their family to different people. And if they had decided, there was, a woman or whatever that they felt was part of their family, they would fight for that person. So,
Yeah. Go ahead.
They fight for their brothers. They fight for their comrades and their brothers in arms. And going again back to the Umbaran arc, because that one's just so rife and rich with different little facets and tidbits of info. When they find out they're fighting each other, that Krell has pitted them against each other, they're like,
yeah.
No, we're gonna fight to protect our own, not fight against them. And so I don't think that you can. I don't know what extent of that is genetic, and what extent of that is more like a soul.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can breed that out of or genetically remove that from someone.
Well, in Plagueis, if you read the book Darth Plagueis, he tried to do that. He tried to breed that out. Plagueis himself tried to breed that out of clones, and he was unsuccessful. And for souls in particular, and then some. He tried to do a lot of stuff, and so, that goes for this tale of the story. That is, you need to have that. For in real life, if you don't do that properly, you can get people who are very sick. They're like psychotic sick, like serial killers.
Yeah.
And they'll do things that just are. It's called the blunted effect in psychology, and so it can happen in just in biology normally, but it is not healthy. It is not healthy at all. So, and some children that are born with more genetic issues that you could think of, they don't live at all. They just don't. Yeah. And so you can do it, but it isn't right.
Yeah.
So going to partly that, I know you guys probably want to go away from that, but
I found it interesting with the psychology.
Like Asajj Ventress, she kissed one of them, before she killed him, but she kissed him.
That was. I finally saw that censored clip because I didn't realize it had been censored until afterwards. But I saw the clip where she actually kisses the clone as she runs him through with her saber. And it was like, oh my goodness, Ventress, you're insane.
Bad girl. And she's done a lot of, hot looking things, from Savage Opress to, So it's like, some people could say the clones could be designer boutique men in Star Wars. It's like, I get to make my own man here. Girl, I told him this, I told him that, and he does everything. I'll make me a man. I mean, after listening to everyone here, it's just like, well, why would you want to do that? Because that's another level of servitude.
Well, I kind of like characters that have and people that have their own minds. So yeah,
Yeah, I see what you mean by that, but like I don't feel like, even though they're designed to follow orders and be a good soldier and stuff, I'm not sure that would transfer over to civilian life. You see that they do have their own logic and their own reasoning, and they have the ability, unlike droids, to make their own choices and choose themselves what they're going to do. And so I think the idea of a designer man isn't. I don't know if that would come through.
Well, if you flip the script and said designer woman, I mean, I think that line would be long. That'd be a long line down the street. But I mean, I don't know. A lot of women don't even think, some women would, but
yeah.
But I don't think everyone. I don't think that they want to see, wait for the right thing to come along, and here's what I have, and I see some beautiful traits in you, and I enjoy that. I think that's how it is. Designing it yourself. I don't know how that would work. You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it about the clones, unless you guys have anything else.
No, it was a great discussion.
Yeah, I learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming by. And so we're going to have some little notes. I heard that Star Wars Celebration Europe may have a lot to say about Star Wars Episode 7. Ooh. That's what I have. So if you can make Celebration Europe, good for you. Come back and talk to us. That they're interested in the era, or people, the fans themselves, want to see the Dark Times era. So the era between Rots and A New Hope. That's what they want to see. Whether they see that, that's a different issue.
Well, what is it? The old saying, give the fans what they need and not what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Josh Whedon's statement. So.
And then, so this is normally the podcast, Swag 77 podcast time, where the guys really get to say what they want. And I say what I want because I got to jump in there every now and then. But they'll be back next week. JD Mall was very busy. It is his birthday, so say happy birthday, Josh! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
And so that's what we have. The other thing is, let's do this one first. The featured characters that we talked about are all actually swag pages that we do have. And there's a Captain Rex and a Commander Wolf and a Commander Cody and a Commander Fox. And we can't decide what to call him yet because he's not yet a commander. He was a sergeant, but it was Commander Appo and Commander Bakara. We really didn't talk about, how many clones did not do Order 66, which is pretty interesting because most of them did.
Mm-hmm.
But
even Commander Cody, which shocked me.
Yeah.
I rewatched it and I forgot that was one of who did
it. Fox, we suspect, would have done it because of the way he treated Ahsoka. And Appo, we know, did it. And Bakara, we know, did it. But Wolf and Rex, we don't know. So, and we do know that the Delta and Omega squad did not do it, and the Ion squad did not do it.
So what happened to all those clones?
That's where it's a little blurry because from what I've read is that when there was switch over to the Empire, the clones were pretty much kicked to the curb. They fought, but they didn't. They did what they were supposed to do, but they were forgotten. So I don't know.
That was sad. They were used. They were just completely used, and then nope, we're done. And it's tragic.
Well, the interesting thing to me about all of this is that the Jedi were the only ones that really saw them as who they are, because the clones had differences in the Force that they could pick up on,
mm-hmm.
and that they treated them humanely.
Yeah,
except
for Krell.
Yeah, well, Krell. Once you turn to the dark side, you kind of don't care about that kind of stuff.
True.
That's the best explanation. And of course Dooku, I mean, he would never do it, but
Dooku's ruthless.
yeah.
Even more so in the Clone Wars in the movies, I thought.
Yeah.
It was just like, at one point we just like killed 2 guys and like with not even flinch in like 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, he does that. He is Darth Tyrannus for a reason. But as far as, you know, after being treated so humanely, then to have them turn on you after someone recites some mantra to you.
Yeah.
Even though not all of them did it, I'm just saying.
Yeah. And like, my mom and I have been having a debate for a long time of, oh, you know Rex is gonna order 66. Not in those words exactly, but I'm like, no, I hope he doesn't. I really hope he doesn't, because we like these characters so much and they're so awesome. And then, like you said, to see them turn against the Jedi who had shown them humanity was like really harsh.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, our hypothesis, I mean, we think all of them, I typically think, you know, that all of them order 66. Well, let's just say 2/3 of them order 66. Some got over it like a cold, some never did. And then there's those that didn't do it at all.
Well, the thing about the show is that it actually reveals sort of how Palpatine manipulated the clones to not believing in the Jedi as good people, with, you know, people like Krell turning them on each other, and Barriss actually, you know, killing people. So the clones were starting to see the Jedi as not the force for good in the galaxy. So it's actually, I think they did a really credible job of putting a schism between the Jedi and the clones, where it is reasonable that they might decide that they were not the good people in this fight.
Yeah. And they separated, you know, because we just did that. That's so ironic. We just did this role play. And it was like, we made it as wild as we could make it. And it was like, it was really, what it was that one of the clones, one of the major ones, started acting bizarro and was freaking out and acting crazy. And they said, well, they wouldn't allow them into the Jedi medical facility to be examined. They could only go to the military forces medical facility, because that rule that you hear in the last episode about that, the military runs the clones. And so, you know, all the Jedi were like, well, we need to see this clone. We need to see if he's okay. And the military people said, no, you can't. This is a restricted area. And here's their clone acting crazy. And it's like, what? So that's where we are now. And it was an interesting way that developed, because I didn't know that the story would turn. I know what I would like the story to be, but the reason why I do this is because it's like, if you allow the characters to come to life to you, you don't really know what will end up with the story.
Right.
That's improv. That's the true meaning of improv. And I'm like, wow, that would trip me out if I was a clone. It's like,
yeah.
Because Rex was the only one that was saying, I know Ahsoka, she would never do this.
Yeah.
I like that.
I agree. That's awesome. I'm afraid it's going to get thrown back in his face.
Yeah.
Well, those are the things we can invent as fans until they tell us.
Yeah. That's
So,
pretty much it. That's pretty much it. You know,
that's the fun part of it.
We can invent. That's pretty much what it is. What is funny though is that if you keep your eye on all the information that's out there, that That's probably what will happen.
Well, ladies, I actually have a dinner reservation that I have to get to. So I just wanted to say thank you. And I hate to sign off early, but I've got to get running.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it was great to hear your point of view.
Thank you. And Cassidy, you impressed me as a young lady with your knowledge, and also Tori. So I'm very impressed. I look forward to seeing you as you become a bigger fangirl, an older one, and with more knowledge. So.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. I'm going to get going.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
All right. Well, we are still have a little bit more. It's like we do hold these meetings once a month, and this was our first live show. Yay!
Sweet.
And we're always looking for guests and co-hosts and recruiters, and always need behind the scenes people. And that's pretty much it. I believe your best contact information is for Trisha Barr. Her best contact information is Twitter, and it's Fangirl Cantina, and her blog, which is Fangirl the Blog, which is http:// And Miss Cassidy, what's your best way to contact you privately? Do you have a Twitter?
I have a Twitter, but I don't tweet much.
I don't have Twitter. It's Facebook really for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.
Okay, well, if you contact Swag77 on Facebook, we will get you in touch with them if you're interested in talking to them.
All right, cool.
So you guys know, this is another announcement. You guys know that, not just you guys, but everyone, please know that Swag runs 2 major female Star Wars fan base pages. They're more like for fans. They're not role-playing pages or performance pages. They're fan base. The first one is Femando.
Haha.
We run the Femando page. It really is pretty much supporting our troops in a Mandalorian way, especially female combat soldiers. That is very important to us. And then the second one is Team Tano. Woo! Ahsoka Tano. Team Tano is kind of like a political action committee where we're trying to, she's part of your generation, you know, and you guys connected with her, and they should keep her in Star Wars and do more movies with her. Yay.
Yes, I agree.
I concur.
And so that's where we are. And for those who don't know, what Swag 77 really does is we portray characters online, and a lot of our characters that we have are from the Clone Wars, and I'm going to just name them out here. You guys can clap for each one you want. We have Padme Amidala Skywalker. Yay!
Yay!
Ahsoka Tano.
Yay!
Asajj Ventress. Yay!
Awesome.
No love for Asajj.
Honestly, that's awesome.
We have Bo-Katan. Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Shakti. Yeah, we
Sweet.
do have a Shakti. Aura Singh. Lots Razi. We like Lots Razi because someone came in who plays Lots Razi's voice, and she's all geeked out because of it. Mother Talzin. Mother Talzin, you gotta, you know, she puts her, you know, she's out there. Mina Tills. Amazing. Shumai. You guys know about Shumai?
Just a tiny bit.
Looked like a goose.
Yeah.
Bana Brimu, who was in the cutscenes of Rots, I think. Yeah, in Rots. She got kicked out because she, long story short, she did appear in Playboy. Sly Moore. Yes, we do have Sly Moore. She doesn't do much right now. We don't have her on storyline yet. Satine Crease, I know you guys love her. Stila Gerrera, Adi Galia. Those are all the ones that died.
Oh.
Say Taria, which is the assistant to Chancellor Valorum.
Mm-hmm.
So someone like her, you know, and they made a page, and somehow inherited this page. The other two characters that are canon that we have, who are not part of the Clone Wars, is Juno Eclipse,
cool, and
Jaina Solo. So we had a big one for Jaina Solo. I gotta read more on her. I like her. You know, I like Mara Jade too.
Oh yeah, they're in a lot of the Legacy of the Force series. They feature prominently in that series.
Yeah. So, you know, if Jaina Solo and Mara Jade are showing up next, I really like them. I do have a backstory for Mara Jade, but no one will like it. I'm not worried about it because it's just fun writing these things. All right, so we got to go through the list of stuff that we have, which is swag77.com is the website, and then facebook.com/IGotSwag77, and then facebook.com/Star Wars Sorority, which is this show. And then there's jdmall.com and facebook.com/jdmall and facebook.com/swag77 podcast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. You can buy a t-shirt on Cafe Press at swag77. You can also buy a t-shirt at redbubble.com /people/swag77 shop page.
Awesome.
Yep. We have that on all our pages on the swag page, but good luck. We have a YouTube called Swag77 Holos, and we're on Twitter at swag77 underscores or swag SWAG _77. And then we have another one, JD Mall _prods for JD Mall Productions. And you can contact us at info@swag77.com or jdmallproductions@gmail.com. And I think that's it for us. Now we have to sing a song. Yeah.
Okay.
If you show up on my broadcast, you're now a member of the sorority. Yay! So we have 3 initiates. She didn't know that, but we have 3 initiates, and initiates have to sing this song. No.
Okay.
We're ready for the song now. Yay! Let's start playing it. Yay!
We celebrate a day of peace, a day of harmony, a day of joy we all can share together joyously.